The crisp autumn air draped Fort Benning, Georgia, like a delicate shroud, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. A golden sunrise pierced through the canopy of amber and scarlet leaves, casting long, dappled shadows across the forest floor. The ground crackled softly under the weight of morning mist, a quiet symphony of nature that seemed to hold its breath. Today was no ordinary day. An elite group of snipers had gathered in a secluded clearing, their faces taut with anticipation, their rifles gleaming faintly in the dawn's light. They faced what many whispered was an impossible challenge: to hit a target at 3,100 meters, a distance that pushed the boundaries of skill, willpower, and precision to their absolute limits. The air buzzed with tension, each shooter knowing that success required not just technical mastery, but an almost spiritual connection to the environment. Among the competitors stood Matt Stone, a retired police officer whose name carried weight in circles where grit and resolve were currency. In his early 50s, Matt's weathered face told a story of its own, lines etched by years of navigating urban battlegrounds, eyes sharp and unyielding like a hawk scanning the horizon. His dark hair, streaked with silver, was cropped close, a remnant of his disciplined past. Retirement had softened none of his edges. His instincts remained razor-sharp, honed by decades of facing down chaos in the city's darkest corners. Today, though, wasn't about reclaiming past glories. For Matt, this sniper challenge was a chance to pass on the lessons carved into his soul. Lessons of patience, focus, and the quiet strength needed to act when everything was on the line. Nearby, almost invisible in the crowd, stood a woman known only as Vesper Adair. Officially, she was a logistics specialist, a behind-the-scenes figure tasked with ensuring ammunition, equipment, and schedules aligned perfectly. Her unassuming presence, dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, plain fatigues, and a clipboard in hand, blended seamlessly with the support staff. But Matt and a select few knew the truth. Vesper was no mere coordinator. She was a ghost, a legend whispered about in classified briefings, a sniper whose name had once echoed through the corridors of covert operations. Years ago, she had vanished from the spotlight after a mission that left scars no one could see, scars that ran deeper than any bullet wound. The morning unfolded with a calculated calm. Snipers lined up at their stations, each movement deliberate, each breath measured. They shouldered their rifles with reverence, aware of the weight of their team's hopes and their own reputations. The target, a small, weathered metal plate, stood at a staggering 3,100 meters, barely a glint in the morning haze. To the untrained eye, it was a speck unreachable. To these marksmen, it was a challenge that demanded everything. The forest itself seemed to watch, alive with subtle cues. The rustle of leaves stirred by a fickle breeze, the distant cry of a hawk slicing through the silence, the faint tremor of earth underfoot. To an outsider, these were mere distractions. To a sniper, they were the language of the battlefield, clues that could make or break a shot. Matt stood at his station, his breath slow and even, his mind sifting through the environment's whispers. The hardest enemy is often not the one in front of you, he thought, but the storm within. His gaze swept the horizon, steady, unhurried, as if he could will the target closer through sheer focus. One by one, shots rang out, sharp cracks reverberating through the valley. Dust puffed near the target, but no hits. Bullets veered wide or fell short, betrayed by the wind's unpredictable dance or the slightest miscalculation. Even the most seasoned shooters faltered, their faces tightening with frustration beneath a veneer of professional discipline. The crowd murmured, tension mounting as the sun climbed higher, shifting shadows and warming the air, which only complicated the calculations. In a quiet corner, Vesper prepared. Her movements were almost imperceptible, a study in economy. She lifted her M110 rifle, its sleek lines an extension of her body, a tool she knew as intimately as her own heartbeat. Unlike the others, she didn't consult ballistic charts or fidget with scopes. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the world speak to her. The whisper of wind through the pines, the subtle shift in temperature, the faint vibration of the ground. Her fingers adjusted the rifle with a precision that bordered on artistry, each motion a testament to years spent in the crucible of high-stakes missions. Hours dragged on. The sun reached its zenith, and the competition neared its end. Failure hung heavy in the air, an unspoken weight pressing on every shooter. Whispers of defeat circulated among the spectators. Then, a single shot, so soft it seemed to dissolve into the forest's ambient hum. The target's center erupted with a tiny, perfect hole. Silence gripped the clearing. Eyes widened, breaths held. General Blackwood, a grizzled officer overseeing the trials, leaned forward, his weathered face creased with disbelief. "Who fired that shot?" he barked. "Show yourself." No one moved. Eyes darted across the field, searching for the source. The shot had come from the shadows, a ghost's whisper carried on the wind. Finally, a murmur rippled through the crowd. Vesper Adair. Matt's heart quickened. He knew the stories, classified missions, secret programs, medals awarded in shadowed rooms, never celebrated. Vesper's past was a tapestry woven with sacrifice and pain. She had been part of an elite special operations unit, a sniper whose unerring aim had turned the tide in countless operations. But a mission in Syria had shattered her world. Faulty intelligence had led to a strike she'd called in, one that killed civilians, children among them. The weight of that tragedy had driven her from the battlefield, forcing her to retreat into the anonymity of a logistics role, hiding in plain sight. Matt sped through the empty city streets, his old patrol routes flooding back like a reflex. The weight of a tactical vest settled over his shoulders, the cool metal of his sidearm a familiar comfort. The Meridian office complex loomed ahead, a 30-story tower of glass and steel glowing ominously in the pre-dawn dark. Police barriers held back news crews and onlookers, while armored vehicles formed a tight perimeter. Captain Shin met him at the command post, her features taut with worry. 14 hostages, 20th floor. 6 armed suspects, maybe more. The leader calls himself Phoenix. Phoenix? Matt's jaw tightened. That's Marcus Reed. I put his brother in prison. His brother died in Millhaven last month. Shanked to the heart. The pieces clicked into place. Revenge. It always came back to that. What do they want? Justice, they say. They want you to come up alone, unarmed. They'll release the hostages after you hear them out. Matt studied the blueprints, his mind racing. 20 floors, limited exits, innocent lives at stake. I need Vesper, he said. Chun frowned. The logistics specialist? Matt, this isn't a training exercise. Trust me, Sarah. I need her. An hour later, Vesper arrived, her civilian clothes belying the predator within. She scanned the building, noting sight lines and structural weak points. Overwatch position? She asked. Hartwell Building, north face. 22 floors, clear shot, Matt replied, pointing to a neighboring skyscraper. Can you make it if things go sideways? She nodded, her eyes unreadable. It was enough. As dawn neared, Matt entered the Meridian's lobby, its marble floors gleaming under emergency lighting. His footsteps echoed like gunshots in the silence. The elevator ride was agonizing, each floor ticking by like a countdown to fate. At the 20th floor, the doors opened to a nightmare. Hostages huddled in the center of an open-plan office, their faces pale with terror. Armed men in tactical gear prowled like wolves, their rifles glinting. Marcus Reed stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, his lean frame silhouetted against the lightening sky. His eyes burned with hatred, a mirror to his late brothers. The legendary Matt Stone, Marcus sneered. The hero who destroyed my family. Your brother made his choices. Marcus. I did my job. Your job. Marcus's laugh was bitter. You tore apart my crew, my neighborhood. You took everything. Your crew sold drugs to kids. Your brother was a killer. He was protecting our people. Marcus's voice cracked, revealing raw pain. While you wrote us off as statistics, we kept the wolves at bay. Matt moved carefully, eyeing the hostages. A young mother clutching a photo of her children, an elderly security guard struggling to breathe. So what's your plan, Marcus? Kill me? These people? How does that honor your brother? Justice Stone, you took him from me. Now I take everything from you. Across the street, Vesper perched on the Hartwell Building's 22nd floor, her rifle trained on the office. The hostages were too close for a clear shot, the risk too high. Matt pressed on. Your brother wasn't a coward who hid behind innocence. He'd be ashamed of this. Doubt flickered in Marcus's eyes. You didn't know him, he said, his voice wavering. I knew him better than you think. 6 months undercover. I saw him with those kids. He cared, in his own way. This isn't what he'd want. A gunman shifted nervously, the group's unity fraying. Then the young mother began to hyperventilate, her breathing ragged. Matt moved toward her without thinking. Easy, ma'am. Breathe with me. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Get back, Marcus shouted, raising his rifle. She needs help, Marcus. Your fight's with me. As Matt knelt beside her, the woman's breathing steadied. The hostages looked to him with hope, the room's dynamic shifting. Marcus's gun wavered, his brother's memory stirring within him. Then a gunman panicked, firing at Matt's back. Time slowed as Matt spun, shielding the woman. The bullet tore through his shoulder, pain exploding through him. But training took over. In the same instant, Vesper's shot shattered the window, dropping the gunman. Chaos erupted. Muzzle flashes lit the office as Marcus's men opened fire. Matt dragged the woman behind a desk, shouting, "Stay down." Vesper's second shot took out another gunman, but Marcus and 2 others used the hostages as shields. Matt's shoulder burned, blood soaking his shirt, but he'd been shot before. He compartmentalized the pain, his focus unbroken. "This ends now, Marcus," he called, pressing his wound. "Not until you're dead." The standoff stretched on, each second a razor's edge. Then Matt remembered Marcus's weakness, a photograph he'd carried during their undercover days. "What would Elena think of this?" he shouted. The gunfire stopped. Elena, Marcus's daughter, killed in a drive-by 3 years ago, the tragedy that had broken him. "Don't say her name," Marcus choked out. "She was 8, wasn't she? Loved butterflies, fairy tales. Your brother told me about her." "Shut up. You think she'd want her daddy to become the monster who took her away?" Silence fell, heavy and taut. Marcus's voice broke. "She's gone because of you. Your investigation brought the war to us. Matt felt the truth's weight. The Riverside takedown had sparked a power struggle, claiming Elena's life. You're right, he said. I carry that every day, but more blood won't bring her back. Slowly, Matt stood, ignoring his screaming shoulder. Punish me if you must, but let these people go. They have families too. Marcus emerged, tears streaking his face. For a moment, he was just a grieving father. You destroyed everything, he whispered. Then let me make it right. The standoff ended with surrender. Marcus's men, seeing his resolve crumble, dropped their weapons. The hostages were evacuated, and Marcus was cuffed without further bloodshed. Paramedics treated Matt's wound as Chin approached. Hell of a thing, Matt. You saved lives today. Matt watched Marcus being led away, diminished by grief. Did I? Or just delay the inevitable? You show them a better way. That's enough. From her perch, Vesper watched, her job done with surgical precision. But she'd seen more: redemption, compassion triumphing over vengeance. Later, outside the police station, Matt's arm was in a sling, his career over again. Vesper approached, ready for retirement now. Matt gazed at the city, his city with its beauty and pain. Retirement doesn't suit me, he said. Time to find a new way to serve. They walked into the morning light, two invisible heroes carrying justice's weight. The city awoke, safer for their sacrifice, though would never know their names. Matt Stone's return wasn't about duty. It was about the quiet moments when ordinary people chose extraordinary acts, when compassion outshone vengeance, and hope endured in the darkest places. The city slept uneasily beneath a veil of clouds, the occasional flicker of neon signs casting restless shadows across the streets. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, then faded into silence. The night felt heavier than usual, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Inside a modest apartment on the outskirts of Fort Benning, Georgia, the silence was broken by the sound of a door creaking open. Matt Stone didn't flinch. He was already up, gun in hand, eyes scanning the darkness before the intruder could take a second step. But the figure didn't come in with a weapon drawn. Instead, she dropped a manila folder on the kitchen table with a thud. Vesper, Matt said, lowering his pistol. You could have knocked. Vesper Adair didn't smile. She never did. Not since Syria. Her dark hair was tied back, her face pale from too many nights spent in the shadows. She looked exhausted but not broken. There's no time, she said. They're coming. Matt's eyes narrowed. Who is? She opened the folder. Inside were grainy photos, classified documents, and a single name typed in bold at the top. Operation Shadow Protocol. Matt skimmed the pages. His jaw tightened. This is old, he muttered. From before your disappearance. No, Vesper said. It never ended. It just went deeper. The documents detailed a covert Black Ops program that had been running under the radar for over a decade. It involved high-ranking military officials, rogue intelligence agents, and illegal arms deals with terrorist organizations across the Middle East. Vesper's name appeared in one of the files, marked as a former operative. That meant she wasn't just a ghost anymore. She was a target. They think I stole this, she said. But I didn't. Someone else leaked it. Someone who's still inside. Before Matt could respond, the power cut out. Darkness swallowed the apartment. Then came the sound of boots on the stairs. Matt moved first. He grabbed Vesper's arm and pulled her toward the back door. She didn't resist. They're not regulars, she whispered. They're professionals. Of course they are, Matt muttered. They always are. The first shot shattered the kitchen window. Glass exploded inward. Matt shoved Vesper behind the counter just as a second round tore through the wall, inches from her head. He grabbed a flashlight and flicked it on, sweeping the beam across the hallway. 3 silhouettes. Tactical gear. Suppressors. Go, he shouted. They bolted through the back door and into the alley. Rain had started to fall, slicking the pavement. Vesper was fast, but not fast enough. One of the attackers lunged from the shadows, tackling her to the ground. Matt turned, fired a single shot. The man dropped. Vesper scrambled up, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. "We can't outrun them," she gasped. "They'll hunt us until we're dead." Matt looked at her, then at the folder still clutched in her hand. "Then we don't run," he said. "We fight." They made it to the car, tires screeching as they peeled away into the night. Behind them, the apartment was already engulfed in flames. Chapter 10. The Ghost's Return. Matt Stone had always believed that leadership wasn't about titles, medals, or authority. It was about presence. It was about showing up when no one else would. It was about making the hard calls when the weight of the world pressed down. And now, as he and Vesper Adair sped through the rain-slick streets of Fort Benning, their car trailing smoke in silence, he knew he was being tested once more. They had escaped the ambush by a hair. Vesper's wound was deep, but not fatal. The folder she carried, Operation Shadow Protocol, was more than classified. It was dangerous. It was a Pandora's box of corruption, betrayal, and covert warfare hidden under layers of bureaucracy and black budget programs. "You okay?" Matt asked, glancing at her. Vesper didn't flinch. "I've had worse." He nodded. He knew she had. They reached an abandoned safe house on the outskirts of town, a relic from Vesper's past life. Inside, the air was stale, the furniture covered in sheets, the walls lined with old maps and red string connecting names, dates, and locations. It was a war room frozen in time. Vesper placed a folder on the table. "This changes everything." Matt flipped it open. The pages inside revealed a network of operatives embedded in both military and intelligence agencies. Shadow Protocol wasn't just a rogue program. It was a parallel government, one that authorized black ops missions without oversight, funded by private contractors and fueled by geopolitical chaos. "This isn't just about us," Matt said. "It's about the system." Vesper met his eyes. "Exactly. And they know we have this." Over the next 48 hours, Matt and Vesper worked in silence, piecing together the puzzle. They reached out to old contacts, decrypted files, and uncovered the identity of the program's director, General Alan Kessler, a retired 4-star general who had supposedly vanished from public life after a scandal involving missing funds. But Kessler wasn't hiding. He was orchestrating. "Real leadership," Vesper said one night as they reviewed a list of operatives, "is knowing when to stand up to power, not just when to follow it." Matt looked at her. "And when to protect those who can't protect themselves." They decided to leak the documents, but not to the press. Not yet. Instead, they contacted Lyra, the young sniper they had trained. She had risen quickly through the ranks and had just been assigned to a joint task force investigating corruption within defense contractors. They needed someone on the inside. Lyra agreed to meet them in a secure location, a decommissioned radar station deep in the mountains. The plan was simple: hand over the evidence, ensure it reached the right people, and disappear before Kessler's men could track them. The night of the handoff, the wind howled through the valley. Snow began to fall. Visibility was low. Perfect. Vesper took over watch, her rifle trained on the perimeter. Matt and Lyra waited in the shadows. Then the ambush came. Kessler's men had anticipated the move. Dozens of them. Tactical gear. Night vision. Fully armed. The night exploded into chaos. Matt and Lyra ducked behind cover as bullets tore through the snow. Vesper took out 2 snipers before being flanked. She was taken alive. Matt watched as she was dragged away. He had a choice: run and save himself or fight back. He chose the latter. With Lyra's help, Matt launched a daring rescue operation. They infiltrated a secret facility in the Carolinas, Kessler's command center. Inside, they found Vesper bound and interrogated, surrounded by screens showing live feeds of black sites, covert drone strikes, and assassination orders. Kessler stood in front of her, calm and composed. "You think you're heroes?" he said. "You're just pawns in a game you don't understand." Matt stepped forward. "No, we're real leaders. We don't follow orders that violate our conscience. We make the hard calls. We protect the innocent." Kessler smirked. "Then you're already dead." The fight was brutal. Gunfire. Hand-to-hand combat. Explosions. In the end, Lyra triggered a lockdown. Vesper broke free, and Matt faced Kessler one-on-one. The general was good, but Matt was better. He disarmed him, pinned him down, and said, "You don't get to hide behind your rank. You answer for this." Kessler spat blood. "You think this ends with me?" "No," Matt said, "but it starts with me." The documents were released anonymously. The world was shaken. Investigations began. Kessler was arrested. Shadow Protocol was officially shut down. But Matt and Vesper disappeared again. This time, not out of fear, not out of guilt, out of purpose. They had done what real leaders do. They stepped in when no one else would. They made the hard calls. They protected the vulnerable. And they walked away, not for glory, but for peace.